This is Silva. Since the release of the iPhone 16 model, there has been one particular market in Asia where the iPhone 16 model cannot be sold, as this model of the iPhone remains banned. According to authorities in this country, this model of the iPhone has failed to meet certain local requirements. This particular country is no other country but Indonesia. This to some extent has slowed down the penetration of the iPhone 16 model in this country. Now, the reason behind the current ban of the iPhone 16 model in Indonesia has to do with the fact that per regulations, it is mandatory for certain smartphones sold in the country to at least source 40% of their components locally. Now, as much as the regulators in this country are trying to use these regulations to pressure Apple, there is another side of the story which has to do with the fact that these authorities in Indonesia are equally trying to find a smart way of compelling Apple to invest in their country. No, I must admit, this rule is a bit complicated and difficult to comply with. Imagine nations around the world insisting on all tech firms to source at least a percentage of their components locally from the same country they are selling from. This would be very difficult and complicated to deal with. Currently, a trend is going on especially in Asia, which I believe is part of the key reason Apple is facing this kind of complications in Indonesia. Now, just as we saw a shift of supply chain from US and Europe into China, most tech giants, for which Apple is among such firms, are equally trying very hard to diversify their supply chain into other suitable economies in Asia away from China. This move from these tech firms isn't necessarily a bad move, as these firms are just trying to spread the risks associated in doing business in foreign markets. Now, countries such as India and Vietnam have been the key destination for most of these companies, so I am not too surprised to see Indonesia also pushing Apple to bring some investment into their country. Bear in mind that during the first phase of the ban of the iPhone 16 model, Apple equally offered to invest $10 million in Indonesia, but later raised this amount to $100 million. But in the view of authorities in Indonesia, this investment goals of Apple isn't enough and does not meet their local content criteria. So as things remains, the ban on iPhone 16 model remains intact in Indonesia. So what is your take on this? Do you think authorities in Indonesia are actually doing the right thing? And do you think Apple will equally comply? Can let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And if you find this content informative, kindly don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my next updates. See you in the next one.